welcome. We've got some really, I think, great stuff to share today, and we're going to jump right to it. And part of that is the slide that you see over my shoulder over here to my right. We received some pretty exciting news this past Tuesday that we get to share with you today. So there's a group that does an ISO rating on communities around the country, and we have the fire chief here that can explain it in nauseating details for you if you like. What this chart over here will show you is where we rank in our new insurance service offering rating that's assigned to cities based on their fire safety and prevention programs. So they come in and do a thorough analysis. It's a third-party group that does a full analysis on how you deploy troops and how many resources and what kind of water supply and the investment that you're making. And it's not too complicated. The chief can explain it all to you inside of 45 minutes. But this chart over here will show you a little more than 30,000 cities that they have rated for fire service. Wichita, for the first time in the history of Wichita, has now jumped up to the #1 fire rating ranking. So we're one of only 305 cities out of the 30,000 that they've ranked that has this Class 1 rating. So the Class 1 rating obviously impacts potentially insurance that both residents and commercial property will buy. As we visited with the folks that have been doing these ratings for how many years, Chief?
An infinite number since for quite a while.
So as you can see, the chief has years of experience. And so when she says infinite number, that's a big number. Chief Bevis, are we close?
Yes. ISO's been the rating for over the last 30 years.
So over 30 years, and this is the first time since they've been rating Wichita that we've received the highest ranking, #1. So the improved fire protection services rating, which will officially take effect on July 1st of this year, represents both possible cost savings. I say that only because the cost savings they explained to us on a residential home is probably not going to be pretty dramatic, but on commercial property it could be, because they have a lot more coverage that they have to buy. And so if you can save 3 or 4% on your insurance for commercial property, it starts becoming a pretty decent number. And so there's the opportunity, obviously, one, for us savings directly to the taxpayers in our community. But I think equally important, this provides us a third-party entity that comes in and does an assessment of our community on the resources that we're spending and the way that we're deploying and the way that we place importance on public safety. And so this is kind of a nice tool that helps us assess where we're at in terms of fire safety. So we are certainly lucky to have great leadership, and so Chief Snow, thank you. I want to certainly thank the dedicated group of individuals that operate in our fire stations every single day, 24/7. But it's much further than that. It's the water division, it's fleet maintenance, it's IT, it's 911 dispatch, it's the Sedgwick County Fire Department, because part of that rating is based on the agreement that we have with our friends at Sedgwick County, and so it's impacted there. So we're excited about this. I want to show one more slide. This is just the cities in Kansas. Now there's almost 600 cities in Kansas that they rate. We're one of only 6 cities in Kansas that have received the highest rating. So the two slides that I thought was easy for us to understand were these two slides that simply allow us to show where we fall in the rankings. So one of 6 cities in Kansas, one of 305 cities that they rank nationally out of the nearly 30,000 that you'll see up there shown on these slides. And so we are very proud to say that we've received the highest ranking. And so we'll, I'm sure if you have some questions, we'll take those here in a moment and allow the chief to come up and put her on the spot. But anything you wanted to add to that, Chief, before we move on?
Just very exciting times.
Why don't you come on up? You might just really briefly maybe cover the criteria, because I didn't do a great job of that,
Sure.
of what they analyze.
Yeah, the insurance service organization that comes in, they'll take a look at many different aspects to provide us the assessment. And like the mayor said, it's not just the fire department and what the fire department's doing. It takes our partners for us to obtain this type of rating or ranking. We used to be a class 3, and that was all the best that we could do during my span of career, which has been 30 years. And for us to now get a 1 is just phenomenal. And that's based on, they take a look at our water distribution system, and we receive a certain amount of points from that. We receive a certain amount of points from the 911 dispatch center, and we have a state-of-art 911 dispatch center, so we receive maximum points there. They take a look at, like the mayor said, each one of our types of apparatus, our trucks that you see out on the street, the engines out there, and how we staff them, the people that are in them. They take a look at the needed fire flow in the different residential districts, and also the strategic location of our fire stations. And those are things that they take a look at. And this time, when they ranked us, they paid particular attention to our fire prevention section, which includes our code enforcement. It includes our community risk reduction activities. So when you see us out in the community doing, providing those programs, our public education programs out, analyzing sprinkler systems and those types of things. Numerous, they do a total analysis of the fire department, and then they branch outside and take a look at what we as a city can offer as far as fire protection and safety to the community. So that's kind of a real, without getting into each line item that they actually go through, that's kind of a real brief overview. So I would entertain any questions at this time.
Wichita is now among the 315 or 305?
It's 315. That was by the time that when they printed this originally, they have increased it by 10. Yeah.
How do you feel about being among that very small group?
Oh, it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal for our community. It's to be part of the elite. Everybody wants to be part of the elite, and that's where we are, part of the elite.
Thank you, Chief. Appreciate you. Stick around. There could be more questions. What I will also add is it validates the statement that we like to often throw out there, that public safety is important to us. We can say public safety is important to us, and we can talk about it, but now we can talk about it in quantifiable results that was done by a third party that assessed our public safety. And so to have that validation, I think, is also important, that we're not just talking the talk. Public safety is important to us. So we're pretty proud of this announcement today and being able to share with our community, and it does impact them. It impacts them in their wallets, and it impacts their peace of mind, understanding that public safety is important. So that's why we wanted to share the great news with you, and we have some more really great news, and so we have some special guests here that are going to take over this next piece. We get to kick off Riverfest this week, and so we have 2 special guests, Admiral Windwagon Smith, the 45th. All right, so it's not an age thing. Because we've missed that by about 35 years.
Don't start on me, Mayor.
And Mary Beth Jarvis, who does an outstanding job and gets a tremendous amount of credit for really kind of bringing some momentum back to not only our community's largest event, but one of the largest events in the United States. And that is the great celebration that we have as the Riverfest. And before I get in too much trouble, why don't I just bring up my two friends while they're still my friends and let them share. Mary Beth.
All right, thank you, sir.
Admiral, great to see you.
Good seeing you, Mayor.
Well, good morning, everyone. We are excited. We're counting down 24 hours until Riverfest gets into full swing. We begin with a bang, as we always do. We Admiral's breakfast, get a little pomp and circumstance and ceremony to begin the festival tomorrow morning at the Hyatt Regency. 11 o'clock on Friday, the food court will open so folks can get their funnel cake and pronto pup fix right out of the gate. We'll have the amazing Safe Flight Auto Glass Sundown Parade tomorrow evening, the one and only evening parade in a community in the country, which is kind of fun. So our kickoff will then continue with the Twilight Pops concert. The great Wichita Symphony Orchestra will wow us. We'll end with the Textron Aviation opening night fireworks. And then after that, it's 8 more days of entertainment, cultural activities, diverse events. We get to use our river for 9 days, whether it's out there in canoes and kayaks or paddle boats or watching jet ski races or taking a Wagon Master River tour. And I'll tell you, this event, as the mayor mentioned, is one of the largest outdoor events in the country. In fact, we are among the 35 largest outdoor events in the world. Wichita does this on a world scale, and we do so with a level of entertainment and cultural events that is amazing, but we do it with a spirit of hospitality and accessibility and affordability that is part of Wichita Festivals and this community's dedication to quality of place and having wonderful activities for our neighbors and our families to enjoy and to welcome tourists in from around the region. So in 9 days, we are pleased to infuse between $25 and $30 million into the local economy, but more important than that, we infuse downtown and the river and our core area with a spirit of unity, togetherness, and hospitality. I mean, it's everyone's backyard for those 9 days, and we encourage everyone to come out. But I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about the preparation that it takes to pull this event off. For 12 months of the year, we have a couple hundred volunteers, a small staff, and then about 250 partner organizations that help us make this work. And the City of Wichita is a tremendous partner and host for this great event. We work with almost every department across Mayor Longwell's the city staff. We are indebted to the folks at Park and Rec, Public Works, Environmental Health and Safety. We make sure the water is safe and flows well such that people can be in the river and enjoying it. We make sure the park spaces that we use, A. Price Woodard Park, which we transform into Ackerman's backyard for the duration of the festival, and the Hyatt Lawn are in good working shape for us to welcome our neighbors and our community members downtown. Public safety, as discussed in the earlier great news about Wichita, is so important to what we do, and we're grateful for their partners in Wichita Fire Department, Wichita PD, Sedgwick County Sheriffs, the engaging, proactive, and strategic thinking by those forces and the private security that we hire as well have made this a festival with a safety and security record that folks can be very, very proud of. Every year we bring hundreds of thousands of people together and do so almost without incident. And that's not an accident. That is security forces working smart and collaborating well. And it is also everyone who comes down for the festival doing so in a spirit of collegiality and friendliness that is the hallmark of Wichita and all that we do. Now, speaking of hallmark, Wichita Riverfest has so many amazing traditions, from events like the River Run and the parade and the great fireworks displays and concerts. But the most beloved tradition of all is that of Admiral Windwagon Smith. And I have the great pleasure to work for these few months alongside a gentleman who is a defining example of community service and leadership, and who this year embodies the ambassador role for Riverfest as Admiral Windwagon Smith. So I'd love to bring to the mic Tim Norton.
Thank you, Mary Beth, and thank you, Mayor, for letting me come into town. I'm really happy about that. I'm very blessed to be the Admiral and to be the face and the ambassador for the River Festival. There's been 47 festivals, starting with Wichita many years ago, and then it kind of morphed into the River Festival 45 years ago, and then we became the tradition with the Admiral Windwagon Smith, and it's a great event down on a river to celebrate what is so good about our sense of place. It's a time for all of our friends and neighbors to come and enjoy all that is good about this community that many of us landed in years ago. Didn't grow up here, but decided to make this our home and community to do our business, to raise our families, and to have some fun along the way. And the River Festival is that 9 days where we can kind of put aside all those things that worries us, all the stresses of just living life, and really enjoy where we live, that community. It starts with the Admiral's Breakfast and then the Sundown Parade, and goes all the way through to the last weekend when we have concerts like the Revolution and Morris Day and the Time to enjoy this great community. I would urge everybody to find a place to buy a button, either Quick Trip or Dillon's, or at the festival when you come downtown. Whether you're going to attend 9 days of events or just one event, a button gets you in. And you know, there's many festivals around the country where you pay $50, $60, $70 to get into all the events. But here, for a $10 button or $5 for kids, you can attend every event all through the week. And there's a wide variety of great events, concerts, and food. And we're going to have great weather this year for most everybody, but maybe me wearing this red coat. I think it's going to get 1,000 degrees under here. But as I've told many people, the coat is hot, but I'm pretty cool. So please join us down on the river. And Mr. Mayor, we'd love to stay for questions if the media has any. So
We have one more segment, and then we'll have you step up here for questions.
just one more segment?
Just one
Or
more segment.
can we go right now? Because I'm used to being in charge,
If
you know.
If you want questions right now, you can go.
No, go ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Who's going to tell the Admiral no? I think he has a sword. So thank you both for being here today, and it is an outstanding event that I'm looking forward to. The council always does a traditional lunch down at the food court, so I can't wait, because it is just very enjoyable, and it's the one time that my wife doesn't know I can really splurge on foods that she doesn't allow me to eat anymore. But it's really, really some good stuff. So as you can see, the theme today is making Wichita better. And so the next segment that we have is talking about the District 3 grants. We divided up, when we sold the Hyatt, $1 million to each council district, and allowed the council members to make the decisions on where they think that that money would best fit their community. And so to talk about where that money's going and the District 3 is Councilmember James Clendenin. I know he brought some friends with him. So James, why don't you come up and share the news about your making your district better.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, I'm very excited to be here today. This is another in a series of neighborhood grants that we will be awarding to several organizations, but also neighborhoods for either physical improvements or in this case, we're calling a neighborhood preservation grant. And this grant was rewarded to the Soci Life Group. They are doing some amazing work on the grassroots neighborhood level with their neighboring initiative. Wichita was, I think a couple years ago, deemed one of the least neighborly cities in the country. I don't get that because my neighborhood is very neighborly. We talk to each other, but somehow they had criteria that said that. And I think River Festival is another reason why. I just don't get why we were ranked that. But because of that, though, I thought it made me look very closely at what does neighborliness do in neighborhoods. It helps fight crime, it helps fight blight, it helps preserve a neighborhood, and we preserve one another through neighborliness. And so I want the Johnsons to come up and talk just a little bit about their initiative and what they will be doing with their grant money, and we'll just let them take it away.
Thank you. So it is great having us speak after talking about Riverfest and words like friendliness and unity and togetherness and quality of place. Those are assets, and we work on bringing out the assets in our neighborhood and then more broadly in District 3. And so our project is called the Neighborhood Animator Project, and it will be my job to recruit and train and support 4 neighborhood animators who will be like a point person who animates or draws out the assets in 4 neighborhoods in our district. And so they will look at what are the businesses? What do those businesses care about? What are the institutions? What are cool nonprofits doing in each of our neighborhoods that maybe people don't know about? Who are the amazing, skilled, and passionate individuals in a neighborhood that are under the radar? What's the story of our neighborhoods? So drawing out those assets and sharing them and celebrating those together over the course of a year from about September of this year till September of 2019. And the animator's job in the fall of 2019 will be to draw together all of the assets that they've discovered and host some kind of culminating event that showcases those. So it might be a block party, it might be a talent show, it might be a gallery of some sort, but something that reveals to the neighborhood all of the good things that are there.
So we're excited to be in the process now of looking for those 4 individuals. They'll be working part-time with that work and then reporting back to their neighborhood associations, their communities, and hopefully continuing to stir that energy and enthusiasm that comes when we begin to focus on what's already strong in our neighborhood and build on that. So we're excited to be a part of this.
Thank you guys very much. So I would encourage any of the media to please talk to them afterwards or ask questions. They have some amazing stories, success stories of what they're doing in neighborhoods to really transform what's going on in their immediate neighborhood. Again, fighting crime and making really better place and drawing out the positives that are in our neighborhoods. Thanks, appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilmember Clendenin and the Johnsons. We appreciate what you're doing. I want to briefly mention that our summer art camps are beginning. We're kicking them off at City Arts very soon. So if you're looking for opportunities for your kids to learn sculpting or painting or photography or so many other opportunities with City Arts, sign up at wichitacityarts.org. It's a great opportunity to keep your kids engaged during the summer and some enjoyable activities. I have one last person to introduce. Austin, come up because they need to see who's influencing the mayor today. So Austin is mayor shadowing me for the day. I'm going to allow him to make all of the difficult decisions. So Austin, why don't you introduce yourself and tell them what you do.
Thank you, Mayor. My name is Austin Smith, and I'm just fortunate to be here today, following the mayor around and just seeing how he's helping to make this city a wonderful place. My wife and I have lived here for 3 years now, and we moved here from the South Plaza area in Kansas City to work with a nonprofit to also contribute to the community of Wichita. Thank you.
Thank you, Austin. And Austin has that wonderful voice. He will now be the voice of the mayor. Like I have to lower my voice now. So we'll open it up for questions and see if there's any that the vice mayor that finally showed up would like to add to it. Thank you for showing up in the last second. Vice Mayor Brian Fry, he does a great job. So we'll open it up for questions. Any questions?
I know that every year you guys take a look at the water. I know you guys check out the water quality of the river.
Mhm.
Can you talk about some of the things that are happening this year, the flags, just?
Sure.
people are-
You want to explain the flags again? Don, you going to jump up here and do that?
Sure.
Don Henry? It's the 1 week a year he works? No, we're kidding. Come on up.
Thanks for the credit. Yeah, Public Works and Utilities will be monitoring the river this year like we have in the past. We'll take one sample a day each morning at 7 o'clock from the Lewis Street Bridge. It'll be tested for E. coli bacteria. And depending upon the level found in the river, there will either be a blue flag posted or a green flag posted. If the flag is blue, that means that the water is safe for all forms of recreation. If the flag is green, that means it's safe for recreation with some advisories in place. And those advisories would be to wash your hands and your arms after getting out of the river. Certainly wash your hands before eating or putting something in your mouth. And if you have any cuts or wounds, then don't go in the water.
What is it right now?
Pardon?
Did you guys test it today?
We began testing earlier this week. I believe today would have been the 5th day. And so far, it would be a blue flag if it was posted today.
Mary Beth, you want to add?
I want to chime in if I can, Don. Thank you. I'll tell you, this has been an area of education for me over the last few years as we have been in charge of Riverfest. And I want to commend Don and his staff. Not only has there been vigilance and really good science behind the decisions that we make at Riverfest, because we decide each morning whether the flow rate, which of course is a safety thing, and then the water quality is acceptable for Riverfest activities. And we use the science they provide and the judgment that they help us enact. But the fact of the matter is, the story of this river has been very good these last few years. And yeah, we'll get a surge of, logs or other, both a flow rate infusion and sometimes an E. coli infusion after a big storm. But the fact is we are working within a realm of water quality that is substantially improved from some years ago. And that's taken a lot of hard work around the state and certainly in the city. So we appreciate all that effort to make sure that this river we get to have fun in 9 days a year is safe and suitable for entertainment. And we just appreciate that partnership.
Thank you, and try not to build Don up too much because it makes him less affordable to the city budget. So I'm here to make Don affordable. Don does a great job. Any other questions? Thank you all for coming, and appreciate the opportunity to share with you.